let's go. Let's jump over to the next topic. But before we jump over, for the viewers watching, we like you guys watching our show. Make sure you guys show some support by subscribing to our channel, following our page on Instagram. Don't just be a viewer and just close the thing. Show us some support so you can motivate us to jump on, make more videos and provide more content for you. Also, before we jump into the topic, make sure you jump over onto CM_Let's Get It. That's the company Charla's running. It's on Instagram. It's called Let's Get It Fitness. It works on personal training and also personal development. So make sure you guys hit him up and see his page and see what he can offer you. Let's jump over to the next topic. The next topic is a bit of a controversial one, and we'll see what people think, what our guests think about this one. What do you believe would be the state of Africa as a continent if it was never colonized by the West? But before we jump in, we got a guest over. Some people love him, some people hate him. Mr. Controversy, public enemy number one. It's our boy, World Literature 101.
All right, I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me?
How you feeling?
Wakanda forever. How we doing, boys, huh?
Let's go. All right, let's jump over.
Who's starting off?
What do you believe would be the state of Africa as a continent if it was never colonized by the West? I'm going to go with Charla for this one. Charla's a very Black Power activist. For sure. How you feeling, Charla? Tell us what you think.
I reckon it will be very developed country. It will be like the first world. It wouldn't be
as a continent as a whole. So you're saying as a continent?
It will be a first world. It will be a first world country, continent, but it won't be a developing country. I don't like to use third world because that's like a disrespectful way to call the continent Africa. I believe developing world is a better context. So when we as Africans come up, I believe that we have this notion where it's like, oh, we're poor, we're this, we're that, we come from struggle. Yes, that is the facts right now. But if we weren't colonized, I think it would be a completely different story. I think it would be flipped. I think it would be the opposite, to be honest. The first world will be looking to Africa to help them. It will be the other way around if they weren't colonized.
But you think that's all of Africa or just certain parts of it, right?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it.
So you think
because we have certain minerals and resources that the world doesn't have.
Nile.
The Nile River. Okay, I'll add to that. Let's just I'll add to this, Charla. So do you think the whole continent will be working together, or do you think it will be everyone for themselves, like every certain? They wouldn't be divided into countries because
I think
divided into the West.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think the colonists divided everyone. So I think we'll be together, unified, working together to be the first world continent. Not the.
I'm gonna disagree with you there, Charla, man. I can't co-sign that, bro. I reckon because there were nations that were at war constantly, bro, throughout Africa's history, across the entire continent.
Not from before then.
As in,
before colonization.
Not before.
No, 100%.
No, majority of African countries were actually unified, and there was no dispute as such because everybody was working together until the colonists came, and then they started using the strategy of divide and conquer. So they would start whispering things into the ears of different tribes, and then understanding the fact that Africans are more tribal people, they divided and conquered through that mechanism. And that's why they've actually conquered certain countries to a whole, even such as Sierra Leone changing the name to a French name when it's actually an African country. And the original name still hasn't been found. And the native tongue has been lost as well. So I believe that we would have been the first world continent compared to what people think as we are right now as a developing world.
Okay, that's a valid point. Burke, and you were disagreeing with him in regards to...
I was disagreeing. Certainly without... I mean, I can't deny the fact that the resources were taken from there en masse. But you were saying that there was no conflict there prior to colonization.
Yes.
That there was a unified Africa.
There was not, when I mean unified, I mean specific countries were unified within themselves, because all of Africa is not connected. It is connected as a continent by land, but by like different groups of people in different regions, we weren't connected. I'm not talking about that. That's perfectly normal. Even in Europe, it's like that. Do you know what I mean? But in Africa, it's exactly the same notion. Do you understand? Like Italy has its own land, France has its own land. But I'm saying within our own countries, everybody will be unified.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. But I'm saying the prior to colonization, when you were in like an age of empires, did Africa not have its own empires?
They did.
Were they not at each other's throats at points?
Yeah, I can see here. Yeah, there was.
You know what I mean?
There was disagreements, but I don't believe they were like to the extent of murdering each other, and not to that extent. No, I don't believe.
Yeah, but like if they were at war, but they were by default murdering each other.
Yeah, I can see here. Look, I just searched it up right now. There was there was a conflict prior between.
Of course, every continent has conflict.
But do you feel there would be? I'd probably say in regards to that, I'll add to your point. In Europe, there is countries that are far more developed than other countries in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you believe? An
Sorry,
example? I'm just looking at it, but let's just say Germany and let's just say.
Oh, don't even go by individual nations. Western Europe and Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, just be broadly speaking.
Just to add to your point, Chala, do you think in Africa there'd be something like that? Let's just say where the north of Africa and maybe the south are doing really well, or maybe the east and the west are doing really well in comparison to the other regions of Africa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's actually a good point. That's actually a good point, because it would be like that, But we are so far off that you can't really compare them in that way, if you understand what I mean. Everything's so far apart, meaning not in land, I mean as in people. Like, let's say we have parts of Africa where it's really developed, then we have parts of Africa that's really rural, and we have remote, and we have so many different landscapes and so many different circumstances people are living in. You can't really compare them like that. You can only compare them from what has happened in experience, in the past times, and what's been happening through war, through like malnutrition. There's a lot of circumstances people are going through. You have to use experience, I believe, from this perspective. Even in Europe, people are living in different circumstances. People in Russia are living completely different to the people in the UK. It's not really the same.
Even people within the UK, bro. Forget Europe. Here in Australia, there's some people that are out in the rural areas, some people that are out in the city areas.
Yeah.
I agree that without had colonization not happened, it would have been probably a much more advanced society. But I don't think all of Africa, bro. I think there would have still been large portions of it that were not doing as well as other parts.
Okay. Before we jump into which parts of Africa, like for example, parts of Africa being more advanced, developed than other parts, if colonization never happened. Let's see what Khalid thinks. What do you think?
In terms of like the main.
Do you believe that Africa would have been advanced as to the standard we see as modern society if it was never colonized by the West?
I mean, we're never going to be able to find that out.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. I agree with Charla, though. I think with like what you guys were all saying, like in any country, like there in society in general, there's always people winning more and people that are, have been dealt the worst hand. But you guys said something about, was it like disputes and stuff with empires and stuff? Look, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that like Africa would have been divided. Like I don't think that Africa would have just been one whole continent. Obviously there'd be I think that there'd be at least a north, a south, a east or west or something like that. And I think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think Africa is such a big land, like the continent is huge. So geographically parts of the country would benefit more, like because the equator and the Nile River, there's parts of Africa where there's more grassland. It just depends on where you're situated, but Africa would have thrived, man. It's like they call it the motherland or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's Africa. I think
all black. They're not all black. Some are lighter, some are darker, some are skinny, some are muscular, some are fat. You know, we have all different sizes and shapes and languages and religions, and you know, everyone has so much differences. Of course, there's going to be conflicts. Of course, that's something that can never be controlled. I believe no one could get along to the level where, like, people.
Yeah, there's no utopia, man. This is.
Can't do that. There's so much different things. People have different experiences. They speak different language. They have so much differences. So, yeah.
It's dunya regardless.
Do you think? That's what I was trying to get at. Do you think that all of Africa would have come up together?
No.
Because let's take even prior to colonization. Let's go back a little further. Take for example the Moors across North Africa. They did incredibly well, but Central Africa has always done, in terms of advancement, hasn't done much.
But look at this though. Central Africa has been oppressed the most. More than 200 million black people have been killed within Africa during the slavery time. Within Africa, a lot of people don't even know the fact.
I'm saying prior to that. Prior to that,
they were actually building.
There was also the Arab.
You know, construction has been found in Africa before the West, and the West have come to Africa to gain knowledge. A lot of people don't know that. They come to Africa to do to learn certain skills.
There was also the Arab slave trade as well that happened. Even the Arabs did that before the West colonized. Actually, there was still the Arab slave trade, and that's how you see the Arab influence in North Africa as well. But we'll move on. I reckon for this bit, we'll stay on the same topic. We'll move on for another discussion. So let's just say it never was colonized by the West. Do you believe there'd be colonization in Africa? So let's just say, for example, countries in the East colonizing countries in the West. Do you know what I mean? Taking over and adding their development and adding their beliefs and influence and having that impact in the country.
I think regardless, maybe if we're talking black and white, you know, power, like that's what drives sometimes people. And I think it could have been the case where, you know, parts of Africa were doing much better and, you know, they, let's say, conquered or, you know, I don't know, tried to reach agreements and I don't know, like some sort of thing like that. But that's sort of got to do with power. Like, you know, obviously if an area in Africa, let's just say the North, is doing much better than the West next to it, and obviously then the North and the West will, you know, there's going to be a head to head, and, you know, something's going to happen. So yeah.
So do you reckon there would be a Wakanda if there was?
I don't know about colonized Rayon, but like expansion of empire, 100%.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
I don't know about colonized. It's a bit
jacked. I reckon. Yeah, I know what you mean. So just conquering, taking over, implementing this.
Yeah, like expanding the nation.
Maybe joining forces as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe, but it shouldn't be on the basis of, like, people think, okay, one place is doing better than another. I believe that you should give a country the freedom to develop at their own pace and at their own time. It shouldn't be, oh, they're doing well, let's go keep up with them. No, just do everything at your own pace. A lot of the, like, countries in the whole world have come to this issue where one country is developing faster than another. Then it's like an ego battle, or it's like we need to influence them. No, maybe just leave them alone and let them develop at their own pace.
Yeah, and an example of that was China. They just went at their own pace, and now look at them. Like, if you think about it, no one really, like, everyone's like, let's just, China's not really a big deal. And then,
nah, man, they've been especially the Western world policy towards China has always been
it's always
give
been
them it's always been, what do you call it? We'll do business with them, and hopefully they'll become less what do they call it, authoritarian, and it didn't work out the way they planned.
Yeah, Bill Clinton tried doing that as well, and it's been going back since the opium wars back in the days.
Ages, right?
Yeah, and then even when Mao Zedong came in, but look at them now, but look how they're standing. But yeah, definitely.
USA!
So that was a good discussion, and we'll see how Africa maps out in the next 50 years.
50 years. Give it 100 years, bro.
100 years, and we'll
100
be
years.
Wakanda.
The next Europe will be in Africa.